welcome to another episode of Conversations and Connections. It's the official podcast of the Family Crisis Center of East Texas. I'm Stuart Burson, the prevention coordinator for the agency. And with me today again, we got Tiffany Walsh, our campus advocate, and Tiffany,
a little bit of everything.
Well, yeah, I hate to throw that in there like that. Remind us, and I always know, Tiffany, because I work with you most as the campus advocate. And of course, you're on the prevention team just as well as I am. But what else? I know you see clients, but I know I sound really stupid right now. But tell us about what you do again, Tiffany.
No, it's okay. It's really hard to keep up with what I do. So I am the campus advocate for SFA. I see all the domestic violence and sexual assault clients there. I also am on the prevention team with Stuart. I teach a financial support group in the Safe House, and I'm also part of the sexual assault nurse examination team. And we go out on call. Okay,
I guess that's what I was trying to think of. I didn't know if you were still an advocate because sometimes you're here working and not on campus. And so anyway, I wanted to kind of get that cleared up. Before we begin, Tiffany, I thought I had some really good news to share with everyone yesterday. I was so excited. I was going to Walmart, and I noticed Cane's was open in Lufkin. And if you don't know Cane's, it's kind of a big deal in Texas. I don't know if there are any other states besides Texas. So I whipped in, and I even put on Facebook, Cane's is open. I came back here, told Tiffany, Cane's is open. And Tiffany said, yeah, it's been open for about 2 or 3 weeks.
But those lines are still long, like it just opened.
They had police directing traffic in the drive-thru. And I'm like, I'm not going to let that stop me. Anyway, Cane's does not sponsor the podcast. I just felt like I just was on a high thinking, hey, I'm going to tell everybody Cane's is finally open. And yeah, apparently I just missed the boat for a while. Well, today, Tiffany's back with us because one of the things that you did talk about, you do the financial, what do you call it?
We just call it a financial support group.
The financial support group. So what we want to, or I kind of wanted to talk about that. And a lot of people probably don't think about when they think of domestic abuse. I don't know if I would say violence, but domestic abuse or whatever you want to call it. A lot of people may not think about the financial part of that. Financial abuse, I guess, is that what you would call it?
Yes, financial abuse. So what we see, especially in how people depict domestic violence, is it always goes back to that woman with the black eye, which I've heard you describe before, because that's what society still views it as. And there's a bunch of different terms that come under the umbrella of domestic violence, like sexual violence, physical violence, emotional violence, financial violence, emotional abuse. And so financial is just one of those different tiers of it that we do focus on. And I'd bet my money, pun intended, that financial abuse is in every aspect of other forms of violence, because money is the base root of how we function as a society.
Before we really start on that, and I'm going to ask this not in a condescending way, but what gives you the right? Maybe not the right. I'm being silly. But what kind of credentials do you have that you bring with you to do this support group?
No, absolutely. And that's a really fair question. And it's actually something that I start out all of my support groups by saying, what gives me the authority to be able to teach this, right? Because anybody can come in and teach anything. It doesn't mean that it'll be right. But as I did say in a previous episode, that I did graduate from Texas Tech, and I have a major in human development and family studies, but my minor was personal financial planning.
Gotcha.
So I did take those 2 semesters worth of financial classes that encompassed budgeting, investing, insurance, and all kinds of things like that.
Wow. Okay. Well, when we talk about financial abuse, what exactly do we mean, or what do you mean when you say financial abuse? A lot of different things come to my mind, but I want you to kind of explain that.
Okay, absolutely. So financial abuse is going to be any of those times whenever somebody doesn't have fair and equal access to the finances in a relationship. And I say relationship as a very vague term because it's not always a romantic couple. It can be between parents and children, siblings, any form of that family dynamic, at least for what we cover in the agency because we're family violence. And it's, for some examples, if, say, we are in a partnership, well, me and Stuart are in a partnership, and he makes the money in the household, and maybe I stay home with the kids, which is kind of a generic, traditional, I guess, look on how families should look in some people's eyes. And just because he makes the money doesn't mean that I don't have a say in how that money is spent. And so all abuse is about that power and control, and that's the same way with money. It's about somebody controlling any aspect of that money in that relationship. It can be a partner refusing to work and then leaving all of the stress on another person to try and keep the family up financially, paying the bills and things like that. It can be somebody stealing debit cards or credit cards from somebody else and then racking up those credit cards or spending all the money out of an account. It could be opening up credit in somebody else's name falsely. That can be in the form of abuse. So it's anything where that control is being used to manipulate somebody else. Mm-hmm. And money is one of the best ways to do it because it's what we need to survive.
Everybody needs it, right?
Yeah. If I can threaten you with, I'm going to take the money for the rent and go spend it. If you don't do this, well, I need a roof over my head. So I might say, okay, whatever you want, because I don't want to be homeless.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting that you say that because I think a lot of times when we think of domestic violence or domestic abuse, it's not necessarily, like you said, between a couple or in a romantic relationship. It can be people, whoever's sharing a roof, I guess.
Yes, and we see that definitely. You know, we get clients. You know, the Family Crisis Center, we get a lot of people in couple romantic relationships, abusive situations. Yeah. But we still get those clients who their abusers are their children and their elderly.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Whenever you said that, it seems like I almost hear it. I personally hear it the most, and not necessarily through work here, of adult children taking advantage of their elderly parents.
Yes, absolutely. That a lot of elderly get disability checks and SSI checks, and we see a lot of our older clients, and this is just from personal experience, where they want to take care. They're caregivers, and so even though they're older and it's their turn to be taken care of, they're still wanting. Well, of course I gave them $50 because that's my child or that's my grandchild, and it's that. You know, because all these different forms of abuse that we have, emotional, financial, they all end up, little bitty pieces come together. So that's a little bit of that, okay, you're being financially abused because you're being taken care of, but then you're also being emotionally abused because because you're being manipulated into that. Sure. So, you know, that's how they all are so convoluted.
Right. Do you see a lot of people in these support groups where they just don't know anything at all about managing money? I'm sure a lot of people may know about it, but they're not given access to it. But do you ever see anyone who maybe they've been in a long-term relationship and during nearly of their adult life, they've never really learned how to manage money or balance a checkbook or manage credit cards or anything like that?
Absolutely. So I'm a spiel person, and at the beginning of all of my support groups, I have the same spiel that I tell them every week. And we talk about how people don't know how to manage their money. Yeah. And I always say that in a way of explaining to clients that I'm not here to judge them, that I'm here to explain why the support group is so important. And it's because things like managing money really aren't taught in schools. If they are, they're an elective, and not everybody's choosing that one elective. And I always try to let them know that my education is a privilege that I got to go and learn how to manage money, but it's so hard to come by because in order for me to even learn what I had to go pay for college. That's not the case that everybody can go and do that. Mm-hmm. And then we get into things called generational poverty, where we have generations who were never taught how to manage their money. So the skills that they're teaching down the to their children, their grandchildren, and down the generations is poor management skills. And so then it gets even harder for people to get out of it, because they're not learning these skills at that young age of how do I budget? I know checks are kind of out to date, but I still use them. How to write a check to pay bills.
I think I use one a couple of times a year, but no, I get it. Sure.
Yeah. And also things like, okay, well, we see a lot of people who they'll go pay their electric bills at the grocery store. Well, those charge a fee where you could either write a check or you could pay it online with a debit card, but they're not taught those things on, and you're not using a whole lot of money, but I mean, even if I'm spending $12 a month paying it at the Berkshire Brothers, 12 times 12 is $144.
It adds up.
Yeah, and that's $144 a year that you literally could have saved, because
that's another electric bill.
That's another electric bill, exactly.
Pay. Right.
And so they're just those small things that really make those differences and add up, that unless you're able to get that education, which is so hard to find, then you're automatically at a disadvantage. Right.
Now, I'm going to assume the group that you facilitate, that's voluntary, right? Do the residents, are they required to attend the group? Or? No,
absolutely not. I walk, knock on everybody's door. I try to be as friendly as possible. And people be like, come to my support group.
Well, and how's that received? Is it well attended every week?
We have, for the most part, a pretty decent turnout. I've definitely had days where I've gone back there and I'm like, we're going to try a different day of the week. The mood might not be right.
Yeah.
But whenever people come, we have some of the most positive reactions. We get surveys from them at the end of it just to kind of give us an idea of what we could do different. And some of them have been, I'm so thankful for this class because I learned how to budget today. And I learned about credit cards today, and I've never learned that before.
Sure.
And those are super exciting. And then, of course, occasionally we do bingo, which is always a hit.
Well, you got to make it fun.
Yes, absolutely. We don't want it to be a lecture every time.
Right. Sure. Awesome. Well, what do you discuss? Like, okay, you have your group together, and I know there's probably a different topic every time, but can you just kind of give me an example of what do you discuss in these groups?
No, absolutely. So we do have not criteria is not the right word. A syllabus, per se, is what I have whenever I'm teaching it. So we always start with budgeting, and we go over. I find budgeting sheets on the internet, and I use that to show them that it's that easy to look up. You can pull one off the internet. It's not going to be perfect, but it's workable for anybody. And then from there we'll talk about what are wants and needs and what are financial goals. And this might seem like a really basic, simple thing to do. And I always have to tell people I'm not trying to offend you if you already know what a want and a need is. I just want everybody to be on the same page.
Yeah.
But it's really important whenever we have clients who really are on the ground level and they're trying to work their way up. Like, we're working from the bottom to the top, and the baseline of being financially secure and independent is knowing where you're spending your money, what's going in, what's going out. But on top of that, it's what am I spending my money on? Where do I fault? Because we all fault. I tell my group every week, I am a foodie and I love to go out to lunch. And I can't go out to lunch every day because then I'd have no money. And so that would be what's a want versus a need. Okay, well, it's a want for Tiffany to go to lunch every day and go eat out with coworkers. But I only need food to keep my energy up. So I can have food from home. I don't need out to eat food. So those are some of the things that we talk about. Is that first lesson, it's always, what is that basic budgeting? What does that look like? And then from there, we're growing. And we're talking about grocery skills and how to properly shop at a grocery store and what to look out for and where to save money and where do marketing people position food.
See, that's fascinating. I mean, and I struggle with that, because you think, okay, I don't know. Is Green Giant, is High Top going to be, is just as good as Green Giant? And a lot of times, and I'm sure with difference in prices, you also got to look at, well, how much you're getting. Is this can bigger than this one, And
it's one of those things where we always, and I'm extremely transparent with people, and I always say where I have things a little bit easier. So I don't have children, so I don't have the struggles of going into a grocery store with children. And I always acknowledge that, right? Because those are going to be a whole different ball game.
Sure.
And so that takes a lot more patience for those with kids. But there's a lot of, whenever you don't have anything and you're really trying to save that dollar, something as simple as grocery shopping is really, really important, because you do have marketing people know what they're doing. They put the expensive brand items at your average eye level. So I'd say 5'3" to maybe 6 foot, those two centers in the middle, because that's where people are looking first. So you're going to have to look higher and lower to find the cheaper ones. And if you're not actively paying attention to that, then you might just grab the first thing that you see and you're spending a couple of extra dollars. And while that might not seem that big of a deal to somebody who's pretty financially stable, that's the difference between making it to not making it at the end of the month for somebody who is struggling to get back on their feet.
Right. Well, something I found out is that Fruit Whirls are just as good as Fruit Loops.
I love off-brand cereal.
I'm just saying. I don't know. No, but I get it. That's something that you got to think about. And like again, I struggle with the off-brand, the store brand versus the name brand. Is it going to be just as good? And for the most part, I don't know. I think it is, but this isn't. We're not grocery talking today.
We're not.
Okay, so well, what made you decide to start the support group? What prompted you to think about doing that here?
So this is actually gonna go way back when. I'm not gonna lie, and I promise what I'm about to say ties into what started the support group. But back before I even went to college, I thought about, okay, where did I want to work and what could I do? And that prompted me to, get my degree. If you want to work at the Family Crisis Center, human sciences is probably a good route to go. But I also was like, it'd be really cool to, if I get a job there one day, which is my goal, to introduce a support group. Because I like money. That's something that comes easy to me. And so I got my major and my minor based on what I thought the agency would like.
So wait. So you thought of your degree based on the needs of the Family Crisis Center?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I graduated. I'm from East Texas, more or less.
Yeah.
And so I knew of the Crisis Center back when I was in high school, and
that's great. I don't think I ever heard you tell that before. Okay.
I didn't mention that in my interview because I didn't want them to think I was lying. But so that came up a little bit later. They didn't know about my minor when I was hired, I don't think. And we were, I think we were at a conference back when we were allowed to go to those. And I was talking to my boss about it, and I was like, yeah, I've got this minor that I really love to, that I'm really interested in, the finances stuff. And she's like, we need a support group. And I was like, well, that actually, like, way back when was kind of my goal when coming here or trying to get a job here. Very futuristic thinking. And, I was like, people need it, because I was very fortunate to have a parent who worked in a bank. So money, we were taught that pretty well. But I just knew of a lot of other people in my personal life who couldn't balance money to save their life, and they were just never taught. And I was like, I feel like that just comes so hand in hand with domestic violence and then poverty on top of that and things like that. And it's just something that I've always been super passionate about, and I knew that we didn't have something quite like a financial support group here, and it was like, there's my opportunity. And so I got the go ahead that night out in Austin at like 6 p.m. And so started it first thing Monday morning, and we had it cranked out the next week. We had our first support group.
Awesome. Do you use a particular curriculum, or is this just stuff that you come up with?
So originally when I started it back in, I want to say late September, early October 2019. So we just celebrated our year of the support group.
Yay!
We didn't have to follow any specific curriculum. The all-state curriculum, which is called Purple Purse, had been given to the agency back in maybe 2014. So I had that, but I was using all of my books that I got from college. Those were finally coming in handy. I've used them more.
You kept the textbooks.
Yes, those were I used them more working here than I did when I was in those classes. And so I was using those textbooks, gathering all of my information to site check myself to make sure I had sources. And then in, I believe it was February or March, you might correct me if I'm wrong, we got a grant that actually encompassed the financial support group. It got written into the grant. And with that came a different curriculum, which was actually the All-State Purple Purse. So one that we had already seen previously, that one was the curriculum that we were given. So now what I do is I pull a little bit of both. I use the Purple Purse curriculum, which is a domestic violence.
I was going to ask you because of the name, purple is, if you don't know, purple is the official color of domestic violence. So I was wondering if that was if that's what that meant. Purple Purse. Yeah. It's for DV survivors.
It's really okay. So it's interesting to somebody who geeks out on financial stuff, right? It'll probably put anybody else to sleep at night. But it is really interesting. It's supposed to be very victim forward and domestic violence savvy on things that everybody's going to go through. So I have read through it, and I pick and choose what I think our clients it's going to be useful to them, because not everything is going to be useful to our clients, and we have to be very knowledgeable of who we're working with and what's going to be helpful. So I pull a little bit of both now. I pull from my textbooks and things that I feel with my experience they're going to receive best, and then I pull from our curriculum that our grant has us under. That way, A, we can fulfill our grant, but B, because it's very good and very useful information.
Okay. Is it all? Do you ever bring in anyone from outside the agency as a guest speaker or presenter or anything, or is it just all Tiffany?
So that is something that we were wanting to do pre-COVID, was especially around tax season.
Yeah. So, sure. Definitely.
So Goodwill, if I'm not mistaken, they have a program for filing taxes and also just helping people get jobs and things like that. So at one point, it was the talk of being able to get somebody there to come in. And there was also an organization at SFA that I had met somebody. I mean, we're talking like the week before campus got shut down back in March. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have this group. Would you like to come talk to us? Like, I can see if I can put it together. And then everything got shut down.
Yeah.
And so we're slowly working on rebuilding that. But it's definitely not anything we've had yet. But we're open to in the future. Because I think it's always great to have outside entities come in and bring their expertise in.
Yeah. So you've been doing this now for almost a year. So you've already been through one holiday season. It's November. We're getting close to Christmas time. Do you see a change in the clients as far as stress about money, nervousness about money? Do you do anything special talking about holiday buying, let's say, or anything like that?
So the holidays are just stressful all the way around, but especially money-wise, because everybody is worried about providing for their families.
Yeah.
And we are able to help out in the safe house just from what the agency can do to help alleviate some of that stress. But that stress is still out there for all of our outreach clients, with trying to make it through the Christmas holiday, because it puts people behind. And that's something that we will talk about. We'll have a little lesson about how understanding that we want to provide for our families and try to give them things that they want, especially with kids, because we see that, they grow up with other kids, and different kids have different lifestyles, so where they receive different things. But it's also important for parents not to, and I'm going to say parents because I feel like we're kind of leaning towards Christmas parent-kid relationships. So that's where I'm going to go with it. I always just try to encourage, don't put yourself in so much of a bind that you're struggling to make rent and things like that after the New Year's. And from there, we'll kind of do a futuristic lesson. And what I mean by that is whenever it comes to November and our clients are rotating so quickly that we're not able to get them back in January to plan for December, especially in the safe house, because there's just that rotation. So I'll try to talk about, okay, well, let's plan for the future then. What can we do now to be more ready for the next holiday season? And one of those topics is actually income tax time, which we spend a lot of time on. And anytime we'll just go over, if you ever get a lump sum of money, what could you do when you have that lump sum of money then to make your life easier throughout the year? And that includes the holidays and Christmas, right? Go ahead and start buying small things slowly, or plan for it, because the reality of it is if you're not able to afford your monthly life, the other 11 months out of the year, then Christmas month, December, that's also going to be a really big struggle. And it's that war within a lot of parents of, am I going to, is it the happiness and joy on my kids' faces, or is it a roof over our head, which are some of those really unfortunate things. The good thing is that the Crisis Center is able to help out with those with our clients and offer Christmas assistance. So that's a lot of that. But as far as the financial support group aspect of it, I guess we try to just teach skills throughout the year to where by the time it came December that they would have somewhat of a savings, or even if they didn't, they at least knew where the resources were to help with that burden, so that they weren't putting themselves in a really bad situation in January and February.
Okay. All right. Anything else we need to touch on before we wrap things up? Are we good?
I think we covered a lot of it.
But there's one thing I forgot to mention when we first started, that Tiffany is also the reigning 2 year in a row Family Crisis Center of East Texas employee Halloween costume contest champion.
Oh, goodness, I'm giggling. Yes, I am.
Yeah. So Tiffany barely edged me out last year because I got second because she cheated and she used a live animal in her costume.
I have a pug. I have a white pug. And his name is Gup, which is pug backwards. I'm hoping he'll be famous now. And we went as Men in Black. And
it was perfect. It was good. But you came in with your dog. And I'm like, okay.
I did. So this year, I knew that I had to step it up because I had to prove myself, right? Because of last year. So I did come up. My name is Tiffany. I did breakfast at Tiffany's. Audrey Hepburn.
You did the Audrey Hepburn look proud. You pulled it off. I will tell you that. Before you even said who you were, when I saw you down the hallway, I knew. I knew what you were doing. I knew who you were, and I'm like, that's great.
Thank you. It did give me first place second year in a row. I am overly proud about that.
All right.
So I do appreciate the recognition, Stuart. I really do.
Sure. I figured I had to give you a shout out in regards to that. So, Tiffany, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. This won't be the last time we hear from Tiffany. Tiffany's going to be back. We're already talking about future topics for the podcast that not only Tiffany and I, but other people in the agency and in the prevention team that we're going to do. So thanks.
Thank you for having me. I always love being on here.
All right. And if you have any questions or comments about what we've discussed today, you can email us. Our email address is conversationsandconnections@fccet.com. And also, if you feel like you need our agency services, for whatever reason, we do have a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week hotline. That number is 1-800-828-7233. That's 1-800-828-7233. And remember, as always, be the voice, if not for you, for someone else.